Sometimes the story goes viral for a really, really good reason. Today, we're digging into one of those. It's about a couple, a pretty healthy income, and a money fight that actually reveals a hidden truth about how we think about money. And you'll see, the problem isn't always what it seems on the surface.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine a family. They're living in Chicago and they're bringing in a combined household income of $160,000 a year. On top of that, they're completely debt-free. So on paper, life should be pretty comfortable, right?
But this is the reality in their home. In spite of that great income, in spite of having zero debt, a single Amazon box showing up on the doorstep is enough to spark a major argument. And that's really the conflict at the very heart of this story.
So what is going on here? Let's break down the specifics of this couple's situation. All right, so meet Jake and Jen. They've got 4 young kids and that solid income we talked about. Now, Jake sees himself as the saver in the relationship, and he called into the Ramsey Show because he was super stressed about his wife Jen's spending habits. He saw her as the spender. He was really looking for the hosts to back him up, to tell him he was in the right.
So what was the source of all this stress? Well, Jen, who's the one that manages their budget, she sets aside about $400 a month for what she calls fun stuff. We're talking about things like maybe a new outfit, a family picnic, little treats for the kids. But for Jake, this felt like a huge, massive red flag.
So Jake gets on the phone, fully expecting the host to side with him, the disciplined saver. But what happened next was a complete shock. And it's exactly why this story blew up. The hosts delivered a twist that nobody saw coming. See, Jake was convinced the problem was Jen's $400 fun budget. But the hosts? They heard something else entirely. They immediately diagnosed the issue not as Jen's spending, but as Jake's own deep-seated fear around money. And they didn't beat around the bush. They told him straight up, "Hold on a minute, Jake, you're the one with the problem." And just like that, with that one sentence, the entire script got flipped. This wasn't about a line item in a budget. It was about the mindset behind the whole thing. So what is this fear the host picked up on? Let's actually break down the psychology behind Jake's anxiety. It all comes down to a concept called the scarcity mindset. Okay, so what is a scarcity mindset? It's this nagging, persistent belief that there's just never enough, that resources are about to dry up any second. And as Jake explained, it came from his childhood. He grew up in a home where money was really tight. They had what they needed, but that was it, nothing more. So that experience, it created this fear that even with a great income, it could all just disappear. His so-called discipline wasn't discipline at all. It was just fear in disguise. And listen, this kind of mindset can be so incredibly damaging. It's not just about being frugal. It makes you feel guilty for totally normal spending. It causes so much resentment between partners, and it just chips away at trust. It can even hold you back from building wealth because you're too afraid to invest your money. And get this, here's a little reality check. That $400 fun budget that was causing Jake so much anxiety, it's almost exactly the US average for what a family spends on entertainment. Her spending wasn't out of control. It was completely normal. You could even say it's healthy. And if you think this is just a Jake and Jen problem, think again. Their conflict is so common. A staggering 34% of people in relationships, that's more than 1 in 3, say money is a top source of conflict. So this isn't some unique personal problem. It's a huge, widespread issue. Okay, so just identifying that you have a scarcity mindset is a huge first step. But then what? What do you actually do about it? Let's dive into some of the practical solutions that were offered. All right, here's an actionable plan. Step 1, you've got to audit your own money story. Figure out why you feel the way you do about money. Step 2, and this one is massive, you have to tackle the budget as a team. No more one person doing all the work while the other one is just side-eyeing every purchase. And third, you start small. You build comfort with spending by agreeing on small, no-judgment purchases that are just for fun. And this right here, this really gets to the heart of the Ramsey philosophy when it comes to couples and money. You are a team. You're not roommates just splitting bills. You share goals, you share finances, and you're building a life together. And that means budgeting has to be a team sport, built on communication and trust. So let's take a quick look at what a simplified budget might look like for a family like theirs, say with about $10,000 a month in take-home pay. You've got all the essentials covered, right? Housing, food, a really healthy amount going into savings. And look right there, built into the plan, $400 for fun and family. It's not an afterthought, it's a deliberate line item. And when you see it visually like this, the perspective shift is huge. That $400 that felt so massive and scary to Jake, it's only 4% of their monthly income. Just 4%. When you see it as a small, manageable piece of a much larger, very healthy financial picture, it totally changes the game.
So the big takeaway here really goes way beyond the numbers on a spreadsheet. The real solution is a deep, fundamental shift in how we think and, more importantly, how we feel about money. And this is the ultimate lesson from this whole story. True financial health isn't just measured by your net worth. It's measured by the strength of your relationships. It's about open communication, deep trust, and the freedom to actually experience joy together without guilt or fear getting in the way. That is real wealth. So as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this one question to think about in your own life. When you look at your finances, at your approach to budgeting, is it building walls between you and your partner? Is it creating distance and stress? Or is it a tool for connection, a bridge that helps you build a life you both truly love?